All right, guys. So we're at the end of the unit about blood and lymph and immunity. And so if you had me in 201, I want you guys to be able to connect every system to every other system, especially the systems that you've already studied. So if you're in 202, then you should know about the skin, the integumentary system. You should know about the muscular system, the skeletal system, and the nervous system. So as you're learning the new systems, you should be able to relate what you've learned in these systems to those systems you've already learned. You also need to start thinking forward to the systems that you're going to learn about, like the heart, the endocrine system, the digestive system, respiratory system, reproductive system. And so there's one thing in your textbook, and if you have your textbook, they're called system connections. So again, I know some of you haven't had me before. This may be your first time in my class, but it's system connections. So that's what it looks like. Every chapter doesn't have one, but there's a lot of them in your book. So several chapters do, but some of them do, some of them don't. But you don't have to have that piece of paper. You can do this on your own using knowledge, but I do encourage you to find those system connections pages as a way to start. And then I just ask you to take a piece of paper and then to just go down each system and think about how these systems relate to each other. And so this one's a big unit because we've covered three different systems of blood, immunity, and lymphatics. But we think of lymphatics and immunity as kind of one system, so really I guess you could say it's just two. But blood and blood vessels and lymphatic and immunity. So what I want you to do is go through each unit or each system and think about what you know, what you've learned. And again, you can look in your textbook to find the answers to these. You can go back to the integumentary chapter, and it's got a systems connections in it. You can go back to the muscular system. It's got a system connections in it. You can go back to skeletal. There's a system connections there. So like I said, most of the units have one of these pages. So you can go through and start reading these different system connections if you've not done this in the past. If this is something that you have not done in your 201 course. So for example, integumentary. I need you to think about how that relates to the systems that we just talked about, blood, lymphatic, and immunity. Well, the integumentary system protects those systems, right? It's our outward covering. So the integumentary system, these are just very, and there's obviously more things. I'm just kind of giving you some ideas of things to think about. The integumentary system would cover and protect those systems. But what does blood do for integumentary? Well, we've talked about how blood vessels vasodilate. It gives us our color. So that's one thing blood does for skin. If blood's carrying red blood cells, it's going to bring oxygen to the skin so that it can be nourished. It's going to bring white blood cells to the skin to help fight off infection if you get cut, right? Lymphatics is going to help keep swelling, going to help drain fluid away from the skin so you don't have swelling. The immune system, again, you're going to have white blood cells to help keep the skin from being infected. So immune system and integumentary system definitely work together. How about the skeletal system and blood and lymph immunity? Well, obviously the skeleton protects all of those. So it's a big, nice cage for a lot of our organs and protects those systems. Skin, that's where the precursor, you start to make vitamin D, okay, in the skin. And vitamin D is needed for calcium reabsorption from the small intestine, but that calcium has to go into the blood so they can get to the skeleton. So see how I'm working as many units and many systems as I can into this system connections. Let's see, your bones make your red blood cells and your white blood cells. So in your bone marrow, you need your bones to make blood. Muscular system. How do blood, lymphatics, and immunity and muscular go together? Well, for muscles to contract, they have to be nourished. They need oxygen and they need ATP. They need glucose, right? So they need oxygen and glucose to make ATP. So blood brings that to the muscles, right? The lymphatics will help drain away any swelling that may be there. The immune system keeps your muscles healthy. Nervous system. Obviously, blood brings oxygen to the brain. The brain controls the blood vessels. Are they vasodilated? Are they vasoconstricted? The immune system protects the nervous system. So are you seeing how this works? So I'm just kind of giving you some ideas. Again, I want you to go back, and there are system connections for all of these units that we've done. So I want you to look back at your 201 system connections and then start to connect them to the ones that we're doing now. Cardiovascular, obviously blood and cardiovascular go together because the cardiovascular system has to pump something. It's pumping the blood, and the blood provides the oxygen for the cardiovascular system to work. Okay, the immune system protects the heart, so that makes sense. Respiratory, gas exchange. You're going to bring blood to the lungs so you can exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen. The lymphatics and immune system will prevent swelling and prevent disease in the respiratory system. Digestive system, again, the blood's going to bring what the digestive system needs to function. The digestive system is going to absorb things out of the food so that it can go into the blood and be carried throughout the body. The urinary system, well, kidneys filter blood to make urine, right? Kidneys also regulate how much fluid you either get rid of or retain to help you maintain blood pressure, which is inside your blood vessels. Reproductive. You have to have reproductive hormones, and hormones like estrogen and progesterone are carried in the blood in order for reproduction to occur. So again, I want you to go through your book. If it was me, I would go ahead and get a little sticky note and just go ahead and tab all the system connections pages in your book so that you can start to review those, because every time you read back through them, as we add a new unit, you'll really start to see how these units start to tie together. You'll do the same thing for the heart. I'll remind you to do that, and then you'll do it again for the endocrine system. So just get in the habit of finding those system connections pages and connecting all of your systems together. There's always a couple of questions on the exam that ask you to think about how what we've currently learned connects to what you've learned in the past and what you're going to learn in the future. Okay? So that's all you need to do. Again, if you've had me before, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, just take a minute to sit down and kind of get your thoughts together. Email me if you're having any trouble with it. Okay? Thanks a lot.